Big game for Jahmyr Gibbs. Everybody said back during the draft, what are you doing, Detroit? Spending a first-round pick on a running back. They're showing you what they were doing right here. So this is against the Raiders, of course, the Monday night performance, Gibbs's breakout, if you will. Same side counter run. We're going to go through his 5 of his better runs in this game. It's hard to boil it down to just 5. But basically a counter type of concept here. And really, it's got a G-scheme element as well. So counter footwork from Gibbs. He's going to be patient, takes a step back, sets it up. And then a theme we're seeing across the league this season right here are guards pulling to block the end man on the line of scrimmage. In this case, they pulled multiple guys. Buffalo has done this a lot with Mitch Morse at center. Ragno's one of those guys that's got that high-level mobility like Morse. And this is the kind of play that Detroit can run because they have one of the best centers in the game. And then with Gibbs, back to him here, because he's so quick and nimble and agile, he can stop and start really easily. He does not need a running start in order to create space and set up his blocks. He can get right into the run. Le'Veon Bell used to be that way. Everybody would say Le'Veon Bell's so patient. He was patient because he could go fast when he needed to. So he could afford to wait because he would make up the time. Gibbs, I'm not saying he's Le'Veon Bell at his prime. I'm not saying they're even that super similar. But in this sense, he's got the agility and the light feet to be a patient runner. We're going to look at Gibbs's 24-yard run here on this one and kind of a team effort. So Amon-Ra St. Brown crosses a formation. Goff is going to audible. Now, one thing I want to point out, a lot of times when a defender travels with a motion guy like we see here, the assumption is it's man-to-man coverage. That's true to an extent. That's a little more of a misnomer anymore, though, especially when it's not, you don't get motion and up-tempo a whole lot, but this is exceptionally slow. He's just traveling, Hobbs is just traveling with the motion to reset the zone coverage. This is quarters coverage, or at least a quarters look from the Raiders. That's what Goff saw. I don't know what they're checking out of. They are going to check into a draw play. We'll let the draw go now. You check into the run play against that split safety look. Obviously, they got exactly what they wanted here because, and actually Gibbs creates a lot of extra yards after contact, which is great. But what you want to ideally get, if you can, is if you can get your runner clean to their corner, that's their worst tackler. Almost every team, their worst tackler is going to be their cornerback. Make that guy have to go tackle the runner, and that's what Detroit was able to do here on this play. It's a good job, by the way, as we're watching this by Josh Reynolds. Let's go back here and see if we maybe look at the end zone too, but watch Reynolds set up this corner. He's going to act like he's blocking the corner to freeze him, and then Reynolds will take the safety last second. Now this corner's a beat later to deal with Gibbs when Gibbs gets here. So watch Reynolds. Going to drift right there. I'm staring at you, and I've got you. It's called MDM, by the way, most dangerous man. Reynolds blocks which of these two guys is most dangerous relative to the design. Safety's back a little bit deeper, but he's tighter to the formation. Also, he's a better tackler. I don't know if that factors into how they teach Reynolds, but he's going to go take away Marcus Epps, make the corner have to tackle Gibbs, and that's not something the corner's up for, and then Reynolds gets involved later in the down as well. And then you see the contact balance there as well. We'll go to the end zone angle. Let's go this side because it's a little better look at the blocking up front. So Goff's, making the call. This was a full play change. He was not canning to this. That was an adjustment all the way. And the one thing I wanted to point out right here, Sam Laporta, who's going to be showing up on more of these runs. I think he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league already. Doesn't take the best angle to Robert Spillane. I think you want to see him come up a little bit, not quite at so angle, a little more north and south. Instead of going there, I think you want to see him go a little bit there. He makes it kind of hard on himself, but he makes up for it with strong hands and technique, maybe a little bit of a grab there. It's a home game. They don't call it. It's not illegal. Good football across the board, though. Starts with the quarterback getting into the right play. Gibbs being patient, setting up the run. Again, another example of him being slow initially because he can stop and start so well out of shotgun, just like we saw in the last play. Laporta, good block. And then here's actually a good look at our guy Josh Reynolds staring down the corner on his way to the safety there. Handles, kind of impacts both defenders, if you will. So good effort across the board. Lions fans, a lot to be excited about on this play. Gibbs, 17-yard touchdown right here. We just actually did a study at the 33rd team, and offenses, he's going to get the corner and then finish, not quite, I said touchdown, 17-yard gain. But offenses, when they line up in these dual tight end sets, these runs to the strong side, which is the case, about 2/3 of the runs in the NFL go behind the tight end side when you get this formation look. These runs gain about half a yard more than runs to the weak side. So defenses really, you ought to be thinking getting over here. And if you're Detroit, you're running at the guy who I believe is the best frontline edge run defender in the NFL, and Maxx Crosby. And the way they blocked Crosby back to our guy Laporta, we're going to see it from the end zone angle. This was really impressive. We'll see it from the Raiders end zone angle, their point of view. So the design right here, 3-on-2. So you got the numbers. You don't necessarily have these 3-on. There's your 3-on-2. You got the numbers. You don't necessarily have the angles, though. It's complicated with the safety kind of stacking Crosby right here. It's complicated if you want to get outside anyway. So ideally what they're doing, the way it's drawn up, and Crosby's aligned really wide here, the way it's drawn up, these two guys would double Crosby, back up. These two guys double Crosby, and one of them works up to the safety, and then Penei Sewell comes in as the second blocker. So that's the idea, is we want to double Crosby with our tight ends, work up there, and then Sewell will come in and help clean up. But watch, Crosby is so darn good and so violent. He just rips right through the double team. So the way this play was set up to start, based on how they're lined up, Laporta, and you can see him, he's going to be the one working up to the safety. Brock Wright's going to be engaged the whole way. Crosby destroys the blocking structure, though. Now we're in a different position, and look at the adjustment. Laporta suddenly takes Crosby. Brock Wright takes the safety. That was seamless. It was not pretty. It was absolutely messy, but Crosby's a messy defender. This was a great adjustment by these guys, though. They basically switched assignments on the fly after Crosby disrupted what they're doing. So one more look. Laporta wants to work up. Brock Wright loses his balance. Okay, let's just gather, and we got the blocks in front of us, enough to get the job done. It helps that we've got a first-round running back who's got the speed to get around those blocks. All right, I said touchdown on that last one. He was short of the goal line. I'm confident this is a touchdown. 27-yard run for Gibbs. Again, he's getting to the right side of the field, up the middle this time, and then bouncing right at the second level. And again, I want to focus on how the Lions took care of Maxx Crosby. He's right over here. This is called a split zone run. Split zone means you're running a zone play, but the tight end to the direction of the zone crosses a formation. He's going to block the end man. So Brock Wright's coming across, and he catches Crosby. And I'll be honest right here. I would hope Crosby be honest. I don't think Crosby had any idea Brock Wright's coming there. Crosby normally would handle this, and the contact would be right about here. He's blowing it up and crashing. In this case, he's playing pass pretty aggressively. He's getting up the field anyway, and there he goes up the field, doesn't see it coming. So two things about this play. One, not to get in the Raiders' head, a lot of times, though, when you have a tight end off the ball like this, you'll see one of these defenders put his arms in the air. It makes a big Y, and the Y gesture, Y, they put them up. It's to say, hey, Y is off the ball, because Crosby can't necessarily see Brock Wright. We can, so we assume everyone can see him, but Crosby can't see. He's not, he doesn't have x-ray vision. He's not going to see through that, so he needs his defensive end to tell him, hey, this guy's off the ball. Crosby knows, all right, he's off the ball. If he's off the ball, he might be coming across. Now, my guess, and I'm just guessing, there's checking and can into the play, by the way, but because both tight ends are off the ball, this is called a snug formation. It's very common in the NFL. Condensed 2x2 sets, both tight ends off the ball. It's possible that Crosby did see that he was off the ball, or that the Raiders knew they were in this formation. So, I don't know. We're guessing at it, but the point is, Brock Wright got a clean shot at the best run-defending defensive end in the league, and he took care of him. The other part of this, that was part one, is Crosby unaware that someone's off the ball coming for him. The other part is our guy Laporta, again, even when he's not blocking, he's helping the blocking. Watch what he does to Crosby just enough, and this is taught. Every tight end's taught to do this, but he freezes him just enough right there. He's going to act like he's engaging, make Crosby have to respond. Crosby says, all right, I just beat you, got inside. And there's the block. And then, by the way, Gibbs, we're highlighting Gibbs here. Remember Frank Gore and how productive he was? This ability to get skinny through tight areas. He's already skinny. The ability to get even skinnier, and then being light on the feet, fast, agility. You don't need me to tell you what a good run this is once he gets there. Good game across the board for Detroit with their young guys. Again, how many plays are we seeing? Second-round tight end, first-round running back, getting it done behind what is also, we need to remember, maybe the best offensive line outside of Philadelphia in the NFC. And here's our last play. It's just a simple 9-yard run, kind of a mid-zone concept to the strong side. But again, we're seeing the best edge defending run defender in the NFL get taken care of. And this time they don't even have to put a hand on him. I want to show this to emphasize the point. We hear about the whole idea of establishing the run to set up play action, which I think gets way overblown, by the way. You can also establish play action to set up the run. And the Lions, because they run so much play action and boot, their play action game's almost established coming in. The Raiders had a plan for what to do with these bootlegs, and Jared Goff, subtle execution right here, but watch what he does with his hands to threaten boot just enough. It's going to make Crosby hesitate just enough, and with Gibbs and his speed, that's all you need. There are backs that probably would not have gotten yardage right here, but Gibbs has it. But all right, back Goff, watch his hands though. Watch what he does right there, like he's throwing the ball, and then watch Crosby's reaction to it. He takes a step. So it's hard to see because it happens so quickly and simultaneously, but Goff's going to act like he's holding the ball. Crosby, one step right there. That's all it takes to create the space. So there are quarterbacks, I'm not going to name them, but I've heard stories who say, I'm not doing the hand thing. There's no point to it. Jared Goff will do whatever he needs to do to make the play work. That's how he was in Los Angeles, where, by the way, he ran this a lot. It's how he's been in Detroit. These small attention to details. Football is the ultimate team sport. Gibbs gets the 9 yards. His name's probably in the title of the video you clicked on, but we're seeing great blocking as we have all game long. We're seeing an elite defender get handled by the scheme and also by players, star players, doing little things that will never show up in the stat book. All of it's working together. That's the 9-yard gain for Detroit.